Welcome back to WION World is One. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on Speed News today. Let's get started. Canada conducted humanitarian airdrops over Gaza, delivering 21,600 pounds of critical aid to Palestinians. The airdrop was carried out in collaboration with 5 other countries, including Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Germany and Belgium. Canada has accused Israel of violating international law by obstructing aid delivery and has called for immediate changes to facilitate aid access. The Canadian government says it plans to recognize the state of Palestine at a UN meeting in September amid growing concerns over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Moroccans have been protesting in various cities, including Casablanca and Tangier, against the alleged docking of ships carrying military equipment and spare parts for military aircraft destined for the Israeli army. The protests, sparked by revelations of Israeli ships using Moroccan ports, have been ongoing since December 2023. Protesters are calling for an end to Morocco's normalization of diplomatic relations with Israel, severing all ties and stopping the use of Moroccan ports for Israeli-bound ships. The United Nations has launched a safe return plan for Syrian refugees in Lebanon, with the first group of refugees returning home. This plan aims to provide sustainable solutions, guarantee refugee dignity, and alleviate pressure on host communities. This plan was developed through lengthy consultations between Lebanon, Syria, and the United Nations. According to estimates by Lebanon's General Security Directorate, the country currently hosts more than 2.08 million Syrian refugees, although only 825,000 are officially registered with the UN Refugee Agency, the UNHCR. Return will be gradual and voluntary and will focus on alleviating the refugees' fears and providing them with humanitarian support and basic services in their areas of origin. Dozens of Bolsonaro supporters took to the streets of Brasilia, honking and waving national flags as police secured 3 Powers Plaza, home to Brazil's Supreme Court. The measures come following a judge's order placing the former President Bolsonaro under house arrest for violating a social media ban, escalating a standoff with the far-right leader accused of plotting a coup after losing the 2022 elections to President Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro is banned from social media for the duration of the proceedings, and third parties are banned from sharing his public remarks. Last month, he was even ordered by the judge to wear an electronic ankle bracelet. Australia has signed a $6.5 billion deal with Japan's Mitsubishi Heavy Industries to purchase 11 advanced Mogami-class frigates for its navy, marking a significant upgrade to its maritime capabilities. Welcoming this deal, Japan's Defense Ministry said that the decision was a testament of trust in Japan's high technology and the interoperability between Japan's self-defense forces and the Australian Army. The 3-frigate contract is expected to be the biggest Australian defense purchase since Canberra in 2023 agreed to build nuclear-powered submarines with the United States and Britain. Two barges loaded with fireworks for a summer festival display near Tokyo caught fire. 5 workers on board one of the barges jumped into the sea to escape the flames and were later rescued by the Coast Guard. According to reports, 1 worker was taken to hospital with minor injuries. Authorities are also investigating the cause of the fire, while the event organizer told police that a fireworks launch system went out of control. Over 3,200 Boeing workers in St. Louis in Illinois have gone on strike after rejecting a contract offer that included 40% average wage increase, the $5,000 ratification bonus, and improved vacation and sick leaves benefits. The strike, led by the International Association for Machinists and Aerospace Workers District 837, affects production of military aircraft like the F-15, the FA-18. Boeing has implemented a contingency plan using non-union labor to minimize disruptions. The union emphasized the need for fair compensation and respect for workers' skills and dedication to national defense. A farewell ceremony was held in Rancagua, Chile for Jean Miranda, one of the 6 miners who tragically lost their lives in the El Teniente copper mine collapse. Miranda, a 31-year-old father of 3, was remembered by friends and family. The collapse occurred after an earthquake struck the mine, causing widespread damage and trapping several workers. Chilean President Gabriel Boric had called for 3 days of mourning for the miners. Democratic U.S. Representative Greg led several dozen protesters in a march outside the Texas Governor Greg Abbott's mansion after he ordered Democratic lawmakers to return to the state capitol to vote on a contentious plan which was backed by former President Donald Trump. By redrawing district lines in hopes of flipping some seats currently held by Democrats, the Republicans aim to protect the party's narrow U.S. House of Representatives majority in next year's midterm elections.
And then his political ally threatened to remove all the elected officials from an opposition party in order to get it done.
Mexican authorities have discovered the remains of 32 people in a clandestine grave. Authorities confirmed the findings after a search operation conducted from the 30th of July to the 2nd of August. 15 of the victims have been identified, while efforts are on to identify the remaining individuals and clarify the circumstances surrounding the discovery. The investigation, which involved intelligence analysis and coordination between multiple departments, aimed to prosecute those responsible. It is one of Mexico's most violent regions due to clashes between criminal groups over control of drug trade. Section 144 has been imposed in Pakistan's Rawalpindi as Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party announced holding of nationwide protests today. Authorities have banned public gatherings and rallies from August 4th to the 10th, citing security concerns. The protest comes on the 2nd anniversary of the arrest of the party founder and former Prime Minister Imran Khan. In a global show of support, overseas PTI supporters in Belgium, UK, France and the US held rallies in support of Imran Khan. Videos of the protests were put on the PTI social media handle. In Oslo, overseas Pakistanis gathered in front of the Norwegian parliament to demand the release of Imran Khan and an end to the human rights violations. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense has said that it has detected 12 sorties of Chinese aircraft, 5 Navy vessels and 1 official ship operating around its territory. The ministry further claimed that 8 out of the 12 sorties have crossed the median line. Taiwan's ministry said it had monitored the situation and had responded. Uruguayan authorities have seized approximately 2,200 kilograms of cocaine bound for export. Officials say this haul could have fetched easily over $50 million on the international market. They said that part of the drug was buried underground while the rest was already packaged for transport. The entire stash was located on a remote, hard-to-access property near the coast in Punta Espineo, about 23 kilometers from downtown Montevideo. A surveillance system had been monitoring the cargo continuously. Parts of Hong Kong were brought to standstill by flooding caused by heavy rain on Tuesday, after the highest-tier rainstorm warning was issued for the fourth time in 8 days. The financial hub has suspended school classes and opened temporary shelters, and some hospital services have also been affected. According to media reports, neighboring Chinese tech hub Shenzhen issued the red rainstorm warning on Tuesday, the first time since 2018. Tuesday's black rainstorm warning in Hong Kong was the fourth in the span of just over a week, beating the previous record of 3 such warnings in a year. Videos surfaced of torrents water surge through a car park in Hong Kong as the city experienced days of intense rain. High-speed winds tore across Scotland and parts of northern England on Monday, toppling trees, halting trains and prompting urgent travel warnings. Officials have labelled Storm Floris as unusually strong for this time of the year. In northern Scotland, wind gusts reached 132 kilometers an hour, which is the fastest ever recorded in the month of August. The UK's Met Office issued an amber wind warning, the second highest alert level across nearly all of Scotland. Torrential storms swept through parts of Kosovo, flooding roads and leaving vehicles stranded in several regions. Video published by Radio Borzani showed fast-moving flood waters blocking the main road at the Brezovica tourist center. With many cars either stranded or forced to navigate partially submerged streets. The US dollar wavered as the rising odds of Federal Reserve rate cuts weighed on sentiment, while investors assessed the broader economic impact of the US tariffs unleashed last week. The dollar remained under pressure following Friday's US jobs report that showed cracks in the labor market, prompting traders to swiftly price in rate cuts next month. The dollar index, which measures the US currency against 6 other units, touched a one-week low earlier in the session. Traders are now pricing in a 94% chance of the Fed cutting rates in its next September meeting. Goldman Sachs expects the Fed to deliver 3 consecutive 25 basis point cuts starting in September, with a 50 basis point move possible if the unemployment rate climbs further in the next report. Oil prices drifted lower on oversupply concerns as OPEC Plus moved ahead with another large output hike despite a weak demand outlook. That more than offset the potential for tighter Russian oil trade due to US policies. Both benchmarks have receded because extra capacity from OPEC Plus is acting as a buffer for any shortcomings in Russian barrels. The rising supplies are coupled with concerns about demand, with some analysts expecting faltering economic growth in the second half of the year. The prospect of weak economic fundamentals is overshadowing concerns over possible supply disruptions that previously supported oil prices. Gold prices struggle to capitalize on a modest Asian session uptick and currently trades just below a nearly 2-week high touched in the previous day. Friday's weaker than expected US non-farm payrolls pointed to a cooling labor market and fueled speculations that the Federal Reserve will resume its rate-cutting cycle in September. This keeps the US Treasury bond yields depressed and turns out to be a key factor lending support to the non-yielding yellow metal. Adding to this, the uncertainty over the fate of China's trade relations with the US further benefits safe haven assets, according to experts. Toyota Motor and Honda Motor are expected to report weaker first quarter earnings this week as US import tariffs and a stronger yen weigh on profits despite solid demand for hybrids in their biggest overseas markets. Japanese automakers face growing uncertainty in the US, where tariffs on imports are pushing up vehicle prices and testing the resilience of consumer demand. Investors will be watching for clues on how Japan's two largest automakers are offsetting such burdens. Toyota, the world's top-selling automaker, is forecast to post a 31% year-on-year drop in operating profit, according to reports. Honda is expected to report a 36% decline in operating profit.